Welcome to the Simply Real Life podcast. I'm Sarah, the founder of Simply Real Health, here to help you simplify, amplify, and elevate your life. This show is for those of you who want the real talk on how to live a more intuitive and intentional life, a life that's healthy from the inside out, and one that feels more effortless, aligned, simple, and more alive. We cover it all, from health, wellness, mindset, motherhood, daily habits and rituals, to business and relationships, creativity and growth, and tiny tricks to feeling your best, and the energetics behind it all filled with personal stories, unfiltered conversations, and of course, answering all of your burning questions, all in the way of simplicity and keeping it real, so that you can create your own version of your healthiest life. Let's do it. Hello, welcome back to the show today. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you're having a great week, no matter what you're doing. I think let's all just take a deep breath. Sometimes we just need that reminder, Okay, we have got a great, juicy little question today. And I am so proud of this person who asked, because this takes a little bit of bravery to ask a question like this. And it was this. It says, are you always so happy? You always seem like you are very happy and very joyful, even when you're in the midst of motherhood, even when you have chaotic stuff going around, even when you have 3 kids and running a business, like you seem so happy. Is that true? Or is that something that we're only seeing the good parts online? I also asked this question to a few of my close friends, and I would say, what would you say? Like, do you think that is the way that I naturally am, or is the way that I show up online, is that really how I am? And they're like, yeah, no, you really are. That is the way that you, I think, naturally are. And I would agree with that. I think that I have always had a very positive energy. It's just like a joyful, happy energy. There's been a lot of stages in my life where I was made to feel wrong for that, or bad for that, or that was something that like I should get control over, or don't be so happy. It's annoying to people, like your positivity, that can't possibly be real. And here's what I will say is that it's not that I am happy all the time. I think I am naturally wired to be more joyful, to look for the good in things, to appreciate things in my life. But I think it's also naturally how I was born. Like my parents would call me a little sunshine. I think now as an adult and having my own kids and able to reflect on that I'm not happy all the time. Of course, I'm human. I actually go through so many different emotions. I'm very much a feeler. I feel things deeply, even if they happen to others. It feels like it's happening to me. I am very much an empath. And I think that I actually have huge range of emotions. Like I cry all the time. I feel sad a lot. I feel empathetic towards people. I can feel angry. I can be frustrated. I mean, just ask my husband. Like I truly go through emotions. And I think that's actually a learned behavior that I started doing in my young adult life, in my 20s, when I started learning about the nervous system and I started learning to be healthy. It's not just the food that you're eating, it's your mentality, it's your thought. That's what creates your energy. And your emotions are also impacted by the thoughts that you're thinking. So what thoughts are you thinking? Like what stories are you telling yourself? What things do you believe or not believe to be true? What are you making things mean? And I think once I started learning about that and learning how the nervous system really does store emotions, it stores feelings, it stores these things that if we're unwilling to feel, if we're going through a lot of mechanisms of like everybody feels those things, some people let it out and let it emotionally come to the surface. And then most of us numb. And so I found in healing my relationship to food, there were so many behaviors that were numbing. So many things that I was doing, like whether it was sugar or a glass of wine or being controlling with my food, having comfort foods or having a bad day and then wanting to go home and have ice cream or treat yourself or go wild on the weekends and then you're trying to be super strict during the week. All of these things were actually numbing behaviors, I think, overall, that I wasn't letting a lot of emotions out. And so I think once I did start to learn that and started to piece it together, that's actually a beautiful thing and a healthy thing to be letting out emotions and often. So now I would say my vibe, yes, it's happy. It's positive. I have worked so much on my mindset all through my 20s. all through my 30s, but it took a huge uptick, I think, when I became a mom, because all of a sudden there's so many more things on your proverbial plate. There's so many more things like the mental load that people talk about, like so many things that you're holding and tending and carrying, and then times 3 kids, that if I was not working on my mindset, so my ability to feel an emotion and then let it go. So whether that's tears, whether it's I need to go take a walk, I need to get fresh air, then I'm moving the energy out of my body. So it's not that I feel perfect and happy and Pollyanna all the time. It's that when I do feel other emotions, I feel free to feel them. I let them come out, I let them move through me and then move past it. I'm over it. And that feels good to me. So yes, for the most part, what you're seeing, I feel pretty great. I think because I do that, because I am not numbing as much these days. There's so many things that used to be a part of my life or a part of my routines or ways that I would eat or ways that I'd interact with food. I don't do that anymore. I don't need to because I don't have a lot of things that I'm trying to numb from or stuff down or hold in. So I think there's that. And then along with learning the patterns in my head, learning the stories that I tell myself, learning what I'm making things mean, learning like what my own limiting beliefs are, what my fears are, whether I'm walking through life and looking at things in a lens of, is this something to be scared of? Looking through the lens of fear, right? Versus the lens of possibility. It's a very different way to live. You could be looking and you're like, your mindset is so geared towards lack or overwhelm or fear or scarcity versus walking through life and thinking, okay, but what's the best thing that could happen? Because the truth is that it's 50-50. Things could maybe go the worst possible way. That's how we all are wired. It's like you wake up in the morning and your brain is just immediately looking for the things that are going to go wrong, the things to be afraid of that day, the things to fearfully anticipate, the things to be nervous about. That's the way we're all wired. But then I think it takes a lot of unlearning to be like, that's the way I'm naturally wired. And then how do I want to be wired? How do I want my brain to start orienting around these different thoughts and a different way of thinking? Like, this is exactly the reason why I started the Insiders Club, where it's all about intentional nourishment from the inside out, because this piece has played such a difference in my life. Truly, the way that I show up for my kids, the way I show up for my husband, the way I show up for my family, the way I show up for myself, the way I show up for my business is so different because I have done so much work on the inside, like on my inner game, on these thoughts, these limiting beliefs, like routing my brain towards a more productive, empowered way of thinking, towards a way of thinking that's more geared around possibility and potential, and that maybe things could go the best possible way. That changes your energy. That changes your vibe. That changes your outlook on life. And to me, I think when people look and see, oh, you're always so happy, I roll, that must not be true. That is true. I think because it's something I've intentionally chosen and intentionally really wanted to craft my life around a more empowering story that I'm creating my life. Like, I am the one in charge. I'm in the driver's seat here as to how the experience of my life feels day to day versus letting that sort of automated, low grade, fearful energy programming lead the way. Life looks very different in someone who does the way we're all programmed, our brains are hardwired to be, versus somebody who actively chooses a different way or to grow different neural pathways in their brain, that you start to see things differently. Your perspective is different. Living in gratitude every day of your life. Are you looking for things to be grateful for and training your brain to look around your day-to-day life? Wow, this is amazing. Like, thank you, God. What a freaking miracle this is. Like, I'm walking outside. I can't get over it. I'm walking with my kids. I'm getting fresh air. This time, it's so beautiful. You can choose to think that, or you can choose to think, I'm not walking in the rain today. This sucks. I hate living in a rainy place. My energy is low. My thoughts are low. It compounds on itself. It's like a snowball. And what if you get to choose the direction that that goes in? So I think there's 2 elements here. Yes, my natural tendency is a little bit more sunshine happy. And I know that that pisses some people off. And I know that it annoys people. And I know that it doesn't resonate with a lot of people. A lot of people like to be in the more fearful energy or that hard wiring around everything is hard. I hate this. This sucks. Everything is happening to me versus how can I see the things that are happening? Maybe they're not so great, but how is this happening for me in the end? What is this teaching me? What is it showing me? And like learning to ask those questions in your life, I think makes such a big difference on how you show up. And there's no way that that doesn't impact how you parent or how you mother. It does impact the way that kids feel your energy and your experience and how you notice your life because you start pointing it out to them. Look at that beautiful flower. Look, the sunshine's coming out. Like the way that you are training your brain to notice the things around you in life and your interpretation of that is something beautiful to hand down. So I think there's so much here. These are the types of things that we talk about in the Insiders Club because it's a certain type of woman, I think, that is fascinated by this and interested and wanting to live their life in this type of way, this type of lens where maybe you didn't have that sunshine energy, but did you know that there are ways that you can actually create that for yourself? That if you would like to get out of the fear, the panic, the negativity, the things happen to me, that more victim mentality, it is possible. Like how cool is that? I think that living that way, it's very different than the norm. It's very different than the status quo. Everything is geared towards keeping you in that more negative energy. I mean, honestly, the foods that are marketed to us, it's meant to keep you sluggish and numb and stuck. And we're just on this hamster wheel that doesn't feel good and it's so depleting. And the purpose of it is to keep you stuck in that low vibe matrix. And then there's also other ways of eating, of thinking, of living, of being aware of your thoughts and your emotions and your energy in life. And that you actually do have so much of a say in that if you want. If you want, it's an option. That's why I created a group around it that we meet every other week. We talk through things, we ask questions because living this way is so different than the norm. And only people who get it. Only people who understand, like, hey, I'm trying to go against the norms here. I'm trying to really infuse my life and change the way my brain thinks, change the way my natural set point energy is, change my perspective on things, change the things I'm noticing. And when you do that, everything else around you starts to change. So, yes, I think it's both nurture and nature. I think it's a combination of both. And I would say that I have actually had to do a lot of work to not be ashamed of being a happier person. One of my favorite mentors, Shoshana Rabin, says there's a war on happy people. People want to see people not necessarily thriving if they're in a bad place themselves, if they're sucked into that more negativity matrix, that seeing other people that are happy really is triggering. And they think it doesn't feel good, they don't like it, versus if you feel like there's something there for you or something that you could learn or some reason why maybe it's triggering, maybe it's something that you actually need for yourself. You just don't know how to get there or how to access it or what to start paying attention to or not. So I think that there are so many ways to look at this. And for me, it has been a huge learning curve of not to be ashamed of that. And this is the way I am. Like what you see is what you get. Confirming that with my very closest friends. Yeah, that is the way you are. Like that is always your perspective on things. It's always steeped in gratitude. It's always trying to figure out a different way. It's always looking at things from a different lens. It's not feeling sorry for yourself. You just feel so grateful for your life and the things that you've made, and choosing things intentionally like creates a very different outcome, I think, in your life. So I think it's a great way to live. It feels great for me. You got to do what works for you. Okay. I hope this was encouraging, inspiring, maybe pushing the limit, maybe annoying you. Who knows? Whatever it may be, it's all good. Just getting you to think twice, think a little bit bigger, think with a little bit more intention in your life is always my hope. So I love you guys. I hope you have a great week. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please come over and find me at Simply Real Health on Instagram. And we'll see you back here next week.
If you enjoyed this episode and want more like it, make sure you're subscribed to the Simply Real Life podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and maybe share it with a friend or two. That would mean the world.